Okay, welcome to the Glide Academy podcast. I am your host, Ez Chandra, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about TikTok tactics with Seva Mozhaev. Seva, awesome to have you here, mate. Thank you for coming. We're really excited. Going to go talking about a lot about TikTok and the platform and lots of topics to cover today. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about your bio, just have a chat to the viewers and just, kind of go through who you are, and for those who don't know who you are. So, formerly a school teacher, Seva left his career and took a leap into his passion for photography, which began many years ago as a young boy living in the former Soviet Union. Hardcore, just like Gary Vee. Yeah.
Exactly.
Initially taking photos of wildlife and landscapes, Sev migrated to Australia in 1997 with a dream to one day take his photography internationally. Fast forward to today, Sev has grown into one of Perth's leading photographers and creative innovators. He is renowned not only for his creativity with the camera, but his influence on social platforms, especially TikTok, which has now got 485,000 followers, close to 500,000, and 19.8 million likes. Phenomenal, mate. Yeah. So, welcome to the show, mate. And yeah, no worries. So, for the first topic, it's really around, obviously why you got to where you got to, and obviously you started in education, and then you dropped that, and then basically changed your career path and your direction. So, give us a bit of a story behind that. Yeah.
So when I graduated university in 2017, I went straight into the workforce and tried to get some relief gigs, and I couldn't land anything. And I went to a seminar at ECU Mount Lawley, and this gentleman, can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he said to me, "Why are you here? You're so charismatic. You're so extroverted. I'm surprised that you haven't been picked up yet." He goes, "Just change your resume around a little bit. Make it different. Everybody's doing the same thing." Here's my resume. He gave it to me, and it was so different to everybody else's. So I copied his template, and within a week I got calls.
Okay.
It was a point of difference, but I made my mission to be seen, and
that's where it triggered.
Yeah, I had to go to the school no matter what.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, long story short, for 2018, I got relief jobs, and then I got a contract for term 3 at a school, and then at the end of term 3, they offered to extend it in term 4 for a one-term contract, which is unheard of because term 4 they don't need that many part-time teachers. And then at the same time, I got offered a permanent job up at near Joondalup, up at Banksia Grove.
Wow.
And I got my permanency in the first year of out of uni, which is also unheard of. It takes some teachers 5 to 10 years to get that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I was lucky. And then 2019, I was all in. I was like, brilliant, I'm sorted for a while.
So this is just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was like, cool. I've scaled the mountain quite quickly. There is a bit of luck involved, but you make your own luck. And then I was like, sweet, I've got a government job, secure pay, good benefits, 12 weeks off a year, and I really love teaching. And I got to be a maths teacher, which is not what I studied for. I studied to be a PE teacher and a science teacher. They threw me in the deep end, and I realized that maths was actually more interesting to me. And then I upskilled myself in that, and really quickly. And then halfway through 2019, I realized, okay, well, I don't want to just be a school teacher. What else could I do? So I started to go around, because all of a sudden I didn't have to study anymore. It's the first time in a long time I didn't have to learn.
But learning was a key value for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I needed to do something.
So did you feel like at that point you lost a bit of your fire, I guess, because you weren't learning?
Yeah.
You were just, it was quite monotonous.
Exactly. And I it always finds me. So what happened was I would start taking photos. I managed to upgrade my cameras. So
were you into photography at that point?
Yeah,
so you always had it as a hobby?
Ever since I can remember, since I was 10, and I was fascinated by it. And then when I went, I think it was April, May, June 2019, I started to go around the city, around here, and just take photos around the street at night. And that's when I started using Instagram stories a little bit more, and was like, hey guys, whoever lives in Perth, come, I'm in the city tonight, let's hang out. You know, the only time people would look at me in the city or anywhere I would go is because of my height. Being 6'10", they're like, oh wow, he's huge. That was it. And then some random people started messaging me on Instagram and go, hey, I'm keen. I see your stories on Instagram. I was like, oh wow, I've got people from Perth actually follow me and keen on.
So the journey started on Instagram.
Yeah, the journey started on Instagram, and people said, yep, I'm keen tonight. We would meet up at a random place, and obviously me being my height, I had no fears it was going to be some like thing where I get jumped and get my equipment stolen. But what happened then was 3 months later, because I did it a few times, there was a point in time where I had someone to hang out with every day of the week in the city. So I would finish school and I would go to the city and take photos for 3 hours. It was great. It was just fun. 3 months later, I had an event. I hosted an event with 120 people rocking up to for me to show them around the city and take photos with in the space of 3 months.
And that was just through...
And that was just for fun.
Posting of stories and
that was just for fun. Exactly.
Just for fun,
And that was for fun.
And so what I guess that was like an epiphany for you. You just kind of thought, man, like I can build something around this.
That did come into my head. I did want to look at how I could monetize it, but I wasn't really in it for the money.
No.
I organised a couple of events, made a couple $100 out of it, but it wasn't something I wanted to go all in on. Plus, I also had school. So I didn't have time to juggle both of them.
So when did you decide to quit?
So halfway through 2019, I also had a couple of opportunities as a wedding photographer, which I also never wanted to do. And I got to become a second shooter for someone, and I actually liked it. And then April 2019 was my first personal wedding, like the one that I got all on my own.
Sure.
And that's another story of how I acquired that. But
why did you like it? Why did you like weddings?
I came in and looked at my work, and the guy that hired me at the time had allowed me to keep my photos to edit for myself, but I wasn't allowed to post them, to showcase them as my own, because it was kind of his IP. Yeah. I didn't get it at the time, but now I do get it. I respected that, but I also was like, okay, I want to do one wedding where I can have my own photos and I can advertise them. It was like my goal. And then within a few months, I got my goal. And then from there, what happened was I started to figure out how to market my business. It was like doing it all again, because I used to be a personal trainer. And this time around, I learned all my failures from not being able to market myself well as a personal trainer, because I was just lazy, to now going, okay, I need to do this better. Yeah. And then what happened was, from there, it started to snowball. I got a couple of leads. I had to learn how to sell. I had to learn how to close. All this stuff that was foreign to me, because I was in the school system. I was teaching maths. But because maths is a problem-solving skill, I got the knack to it really quickly. I adapted. I could tinker and adjust and get through it. And then towards 3-4 months later in 2019, I was like, I'm actually doing well here. I've got a couple of bookings for next year. I've got a few opportunities. Why don't I try, since I've got a permanent job as a school teacher, take 12 months off, take a sabbatical, and just give it a go.
Just give it a go.
Because I've got my permanency. I can return anytime. So I did that. And then January 2020, last year, I started to get a few more bookings. Crazy. February, a few more bookings.
Just last year.
Yeah. And then I also had a mentor of mine. His name's Tony. He said to me, make sure you don't focus purely on just weddings. Don't be in the market. Look at to be the market.
Yes.
I'll never forget that, because I was like, okay, well, I'm competing against other photographers, but how can I get not on top of them, but be the one to go to?
They come to you.
They come to you, and
I mean, it's one of those industries where you want to have a reputation.
Yeah.
And build a brand around
exactly.
you. Yeah.
I respect the journey.
Yeah.
And how long it takes for people to build that and acquire that skill. And at that time, I had maybe 8 to 10 weddings booked for the later part of 2020, and maybe a couple in 2021. And then what happened then was COVID hit. early March. And because I was unsure, the week before COVID hit, I was unsure about my cash flow for being a photographer, wedding photographer. I asked my school saying, hey, can I pick up one class permanently for 2020? And they said, yeah. We actually are desperate for teachers. Can you pick up this year 8 maths class? And I was like, yeah, sure, done. A week later, COVID. So I secured a cash flow from the school. Yeah. And then just also something I couldn't, in hindsight, what would have happened is if I didn't do back to school, I would have got JobKeeper anyway. I would have made more money for doing nothing, but I don't like that, right? I didn't want to sit down. So a part of me was like, oh, missed opportunity, but at the same time, it still worked. So, and I got to still, work and do something whilst, because it was an essential job as a teacher.
Yeah. And so where did you make the decision to, I guess, push onto the platform?
Yeah. And so go onto TikTok, winding back to 2019, halfway through 2019 was when I discovered it. Okay. And that was when some of my year 10s at the time, they were on the platform, and I was like, what's this?
And it's interesting because you were in that education role. Yeah. You were around kids. Yeah. But they were year 10. They were like your primary school kids.
Exactly. And this was a year before the whole banning of the phones. Didn't really work. But when they were laughing at their crotch, I was like, okay, they've obviously got their phone out. It's not that funny. So I said, okay, go on, show us what you've got. And they showed me these videos of them lip syncing to these songs. So I was like, okay, this is all right. I get it. But then I just downloaded the app and just had it in the background for a little while, tested it out, and I was like, man, this has got so many features, but it just looked like a gimmick. And then my very first TikTok was actually on one of those tours that I did as a photographer. I'll never forget that. So it was kind of like a bridge. And then from there, what happened was I put a few out, just testing videos. And then some kids come up to me in the hall, said, hey, sir, we found your TikTok account. I was like, really? I did not tell anyone about this. I was just testing it. It was public, but I was just testing it. And then I said, okay, I'll make some more videos, made some fun out of it. And then it started to grow. And 41 videos later, I had 100 followers. Wow. Yeah. So I was just doing it for fun.
And it's quite localized, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the thing,
yeah.
People, because I think there's a stat, it's like over 1 billion users
now. It's the most downloaded app of all time.
Yeah, but like it's like a lot of local people know who you are. It's not like it's a... like Instagram, you end up following people who are all around the world. Yeah, the algorithm's quite unique, and I'm fascinated by it. So what happened after that was I hit a niche where I started making fun of my height. Yes, because that's one of my quirks. That's your superpower. And then over the space of 3 or 4 hours in a morning at school, my phone blew up. I got 1,000 followers, 6,000 followers, and then a weekend later, I was at 10,000 all of a sudden. Kids started recognizing it and like, sir, look, you're famous, all this stuff. And because they get excited. Yeah, I kept at it, and then I started to learn a little bit more about the live streaming and all of that, and just got into it. Just got really addicted to it. 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers. I think humor is really important, isn't it? Like, so that's. I mean, I've been watching your reels. Is that what we call it? Reels? Reels, TikToks, whatever. Ticks. But yeah, so, but June last year was when I hit 150,000 and I got verification from the app. And that's when I was like, wow, that's a lot of leverage I can use. But I didn't know how to use it just yet. And then fortunately at the same time, I had already made the decision to take a year off, and it had nothing to do with TikTok. All the kids at school think I left school to go to be a TikTok person, but in reality, it was for my wedding photography. Yeah, yeah. Now, halfway through 2020, towards 2021 now, I had built a following and said, should I put a video up of my wedding business? Nah, surely not. They're not old enough to get married. It would just be a waste of time. I did it anyway. 2 days later, I had 2 bookings. Yeah, right. And that's when I was like, right, how much effort do I put into this? So but the thing is, they're engaging with you because of your brand. Yeah, it's not they knew me already. Yeah, correct. They knew me already. They're like, oh, he does wedding. I want him to be at my wedding. Yeah, I didn't start making wedding photography videos at the start. I built a personality. Because it's like, when you hire a photographer at a wedding, that person is almost by design not meant to be I guess, present. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of meant to, like they're meant to just take photos in a way,
Yeah.
but like not be in the way.
More so the old school way.
The old school way.
The old
but
school
whereas
way.
now, like it's possibly like you're a personality. You're part of the
Exactly.
the day.
Exactly. And that's what they started telling me. I started listening to the market more, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to showcase more of my personality. And the comments were, Sev, we really love to have you at our wedding. And I asked them, I'm like, have you actually seen my photos? Yeah, we love your photos, but your personality at reception would add so much value. And I was like, cool, that's a good quirk to have.
It is cool.
And then I added some more videos onto TikTok, and then within 6 months I was booked out to end of 2021. December 9th, I remember this specifically because I updated this on my story. December 9 last year I was booked out for 2021, and then June this year I was booked out at the end of 2022, and now I'm booked out halfway through 2023. Or majority of the leads now purely from TikTok. And I was like, okay, the 25 to 35 year age bracket is the marriage bracket, give or take, and they got me from TikTok. So I started talking about that on Instagram, saying, guys, get on this. Get on this. And
so I mean, if we go into the platform and what makes it unique, you know, for our viewers. So I mean, TikTok is, I kind of see it like a cross between, like, this is very music orientated, so it's like the Spotify, so to speak, where you can choose tracks and stuff. But then it's also got this cross platform with like YouTube, so it's very much an engaging video watching type platform. So it's like it's a good mix. And I was listening to this podcast, and they were sort of saying it's almost like MTV back in the day
I agree.
when we were growing up. But it's like the new MTV, you know.
Yes,
like,
absolutely. And the best thing about it is the algorithm showcases exactly what you want to see. After I've tested this, after about half an hour, depending on how quickly you scroll and how much you engage with the content, within half an hour to 1 hour, it learns what your content most likely is.
Right.
And when you start an account, I realize this now as well as I'm saying this, what I've noticed is if you're a male, it shows you attractive females. And then if you like those videos, it shows you more. But if you go past those and see sporting videos, it starts like that. That's what I noticed. And then which way you skew the most, it gives you that. It also throws you the most popular creators around the world to just show you, because they're the billboard, they're the staples, and then you go from there.
So I mean, looking at some of the stats, like in Australia, the TikTok users, 60% of them, which is around 1.5 million, are females. So it's majority females. But 70% of them are Generation Alpha and Generation Z.
Or of all TikTok users in Australia?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the stats anyway.
Yeah. The overall stat that I read was over 75% now are age 20 or above.
Okay.
So, but it's different that you mentioned Australia.
You're saying that that age gap is moving up.
Yeah, big time.
It's growing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Because one thing was, it first started with the parents.
But I mean, it's always like that, right?
Yeah.
Like when we were kids or something, there was always something cool that the kids would pick up.
And then the parents would be like,
go,
what's this?
Yeah. And then they would start picking up. Yeah. So.
And then the trick to that is if you're early enough and understand how to grab the attention.
In our generation,
yeah. And that's what I did. And now the businesses are coming to me saying, how did you book out your wedding photography on TikTok? For 2.5 years? We would like to speak to you, please.
Yeah.
And I realized that not many other people are doing it, especially in Australia.
I mean, what's key about TikTok is the engagement, and there's some pretty amazing stats. Like, so I think this was just like 2019. It was 7.9 hours, monthly hours average for engagement for an average user. So it's 8 hours, say. And that's doubled. So now in 2021, that's close to 17 hours.
Yeah. It's actually 52 minutes per day on average.
That's right.
Per user.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. And
then when I looked at the US stats, because obviously Australia's a little bit behind with the take-up, in the US, it's about 25 hours now. So it's
amazing.
So even though we're at 17 or 18 or 17, sorry, that's going to go even further.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
And YouTube's been sitting at around 15 hours.
Yeah.
So it's now 16 hours as well.
Yeah.
So YouTube it's quite active, but it hasn't broke the 20-hour barrier yet.
And the best thing I think TikTok did from the start when they merged, when they changed from Musical.ly, was they added the feature where you can link your Instagram and YouTube to the account from the profile. You remember how I mentioned don't be in the game to be in the market, become the market? That's what they've done very, very well. They said, make your profile, link it to Instagram. We don't care. It's easier. Just do it. Make it user-friendly.
Rather than
right.
I guess like Facebook, they're like, everything stays on the
platform. Yeah, you can't really press a button on Facebook and you have to leave the app to go to the other app. Yeah. This app literally just goes, go for it. Go to our competitor. We don't care. But what I feel that does is gets the user to go, let's start on TikTok.
Yeah, because it reduces friction, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to go out of the home. Like, remember when we were growing up, when the internet came about, we were typing in websites. We don't do that anymore. We go to ads or we go to social media first. Social media is just it's a slang word for the internet now. It's not a different.
It's connected.
It's connecting, right?
Yeah.
We go from there. And then we have our bookmarks and that's it. So that's what TikTok's done with social media.
If we look at, I guess, a business and then their marketing strategy, their brand strategy, what we're talking about really with TikTok is future proofing.
Yes.
So this is about future proofing the value of your brand in the next 5 to 10 years. Can you talk to us a bit more about that?
The future proofing?
Yeah. And obviously everyone's like, well, TikTok, we're not going to pay attention to that because it's Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Why do we care? We're big corporates or we're big brands and businesses.
It's a perfect example.
Yeah.
So my biggest pitch is demographics don't change for businesses, corporations, anyone. The generations do. They shift. If you're in the market long term, you have to think of the future and go, who is our market 5-10 years from now? Unless you're retiring, you have to think about that all the time. You have to future-proof by getting into the minds, getting into the eyes of the next generation coming up. So by the time that it's their time to make the call on who their agency is, who their real estate agent is, who they're going to, trust to tutor their kids or be their wedding photographer, they will know 10 years from now. One of the most common comments in my wedding photography videos on TikTok is 10 to 15-year-old kids going, can you please be my photographer when I'm getting married in 15 years' time? And that single comment was like, that's what we need to do as marketers, as businesses, to be able to go, yes, I'm a corporate person. The people that call the shots are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And then when the boomers move on and are done with their finance, where's that finance going to go? That's going to be the biggest generational wealth shift of all time.
I mean, the thing is that it is an age-old thing, and brands, they don't see the value in something that's 10 to 15 years ahead, because from a corporate perspective or at the boardroom level, it's like, why do
they want a quick return on investment? We want
return on investment now.
Exactly.
We need to appease the shareholders, all of that sort of stakeholders and all that sort of stuff. What are we doing now next year?
The question is, what's working really, really well right now to get the return on investment? It still can also be TikTok.
Well, I mean, you've demonstrated it with the speed
within
which you've grown.
1 year, within 2 years.
Within a year,
But it's, in terms of replicating that, it's a challenge because there has to be more than just myself teaching someone else to come to the party. Because corporations and businesses that come to me, they say to me, what can you do for us? And I said, I can do this, but who's your mascot?
Yes, because you still need someone internally to
I don't want to be the walking billboard for everybody. No. I need influencers to come in and go, we'll take this over. Yeah. But the biggest problem actually I've found is that quick return on investment that they're wanting. And it's like, well, are you going forward? Have you plateaued? Are you going down?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is that, when Google entered the market, they were effectively a search engine, really. And SEO was really big. Then Google Ads came. businesses are still using Google Ads and investing a lot in that. That's the intent base. That's always going to be there because people are going to pick up the phone and go, I just need this service and I need it now. It's based on the moment.
Kids don't.
With Facebook, it's search and it's based around interests.
Interests, right? and also
and you can target
reviews.
Individuals,
yeah.
right? You can target individuals and people, demographics, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
With TikTok is about like the community. It's about the broader audience.
Right.
And the interesting thing is that I think it's replacing that traditional media model because
100%.
All the other like Facebook and Google didn't quite replace TV and radio. They've taken quite a bit of chunk out of those advertising budgets, but I think TikTok has got that ability to do what radio does, to do what
American Airlines has acquired a TikTok. You can watch TikToks in the first half hour of your flight for free. You can do that now on their planes. And, if you think about that closely, you have $1 million productions, movies that you can watch for 2-3 hours.
Through TikTok.
No.
Sorry.
As video, like normally.
Yeah.
You turn on the entertainment system and you can pick a movie or TV show and watch them for hours for your flight. Or you can watch a bunch of hundreds and hundreds of videos, 17 seconds long, that were recorded with a phone. And they're choosing TikTok over that. And that's what people have to look at and say, right, especially as creators, you don't need a red camera. You don't need thousands of dollars worth of lenses and audio equipment. If you have a phone and you have good storytelling skills and you know how to showcase emotion through storytelling, you're going to go further than the current market who is not pivoting.
And I think it's about creating content that's engaging with communities.
Right. It can't be salesy either.
Yeah, so there's another stat which is like 40% of consumers are fatigued with like aspirational and polished content.
They are so fatigued.
And Instagram's a little bit like that as well. But TV ads and TV shows and stuff, that they are a little bit polished. Whereas TikTok kind of is all about authenticity, and it's about grabbing a phone and just filming yourself off the fly.
History is kind of repeating itself from TV. Before the year 2000 or the turn of the century, we just had TV shows that were crafted, curated, and professionally designed with characters, and it was seasons and also movies. And then came reality TV. This is what TikTok is doing for social media. I mean, YouTube was doing that, but long form. Yeah. Instagram is the more polished one,
which still works.
Yeah,
a lot of people love long form content.
Exactly. And that's why TikTok released a 3-minute feature. But you have to keep the attention of the audience. Now, Gen Z, their attention span is a lot shorter. So that's where TikTok realized that. Attention span's about 8 seconds now. And you need to be able to hook them in within the first 2 to give them a reason to keep watching. And if you take too long explaining something, you're gone. And the old school YouTube market is dying off because their generation is moving on, right? And moving on with them. They're either over it or they want something fresh.
I mean, the thing is that just brainstorming there, like I can sort of see a good correlation between, brands that are trying to, I guess, promote e-commerce and TikTok, because in terms of the future, because it's about short form content, really quick, sharp.
Yeah.
When you can get straight to the point in terms of what's benefits of using a product or the application of it, the authenticity of it, whereas long form, it takes a while to create that journey.
Yeah, you can't create that. You can't be build up to a climax anymore.
No, because
you have the risk of the viewer sees the risk of it not actually working out. It can be a complete disappointment. They want you to get to the point.
Exactly.
The 4 E's. You want that emotion to get through.
Yeah.
Show them the exclusivity of having the product, and then engage with them through the emotion. Did I get all of it?
So I think so you mentioned the 4 E's. That can be our next topic. And that's really like, tips for like brands or businesses that are really looking to scale, right? How do they kind of do that, and so you did mention the 4 E's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's exclusivity, engaging, experience, and emotion.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe just talk us through that. Yeah.
So every piece of content needs emotion, whether it's sad, happy, joyful, successful, challenging, surprising, shocking. It needs emotion, and that emotion then translates into the other things.
Good content needs emotion. Not all content has emotion.
Not all
but
content
you're saying
has emotion.
that
I think the best content needs emotion.
moving forward needs to have emotion in
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And then doing that through a journey, which is the experience, right? It's like I said before, that Red Bull doesn't sell you Red Bull drink. It sells you adventure.
Yes.
Because you're excited.
Yeah.
It's an experience of excitement. That's 2 of the E's. And then the exclusivity of it, where you're either in a hot air balloon or, racing down a mountain bike, not many people get to do that. But if they can't, they want to watch someone do that. And that's where they can live vicariously through the TV. It's like when they live vicariously through Big Brother. They're like, oh, this is what I would do in their scenario. Because it's relatable. It's not scripted. So, right? And then if you engage the audience, the final E, you're onto a winner. If you can get that formula, you can't go wrong. You can't. And if you're consistent and patient with the content and put it out at scale, your audience will find you and go, this is our person.
Yeah. And it's, I guess, the consistency of putting those 4 E's together in all your content.
Right.
Eventually, one of them is going to take off and blow up, so to speak. Yeah.
And then the best part about that is, going back to the TV analogy, you ever find a time where you discover a series 3 seasons in, and you're like, what's this show? You ever go back to season 1 and watch the whole thing? Because you're like, this is fantastic. I need to watch the whole thing. That's what TikTok's about. You create all that content through testing and seeing what you like first as a creator. And
what resonates with you.
Resonates with you. Like I said, I put out 41 videos before I had my first 100 followers. And then what happens is people discover you and they binge watch the whole thing.
Right.
And then the algorithm goes, they're watching all of his videos. Let's push him out.
Because they're not just watching one and then pissing off somewhere. They're actually like going through all the videos. Yeah.
If they're the right person, if they become a super fan, and then that builds on, becomes shareable. I had videos that didn't do so well months ago that are now popping off because the right people have found them.
I think the key thing that you said was that when you're creating the content yourself, you've got to create content that resonates with you first versus
absolutely.
Trying to appease the audience, right? And the trick in doing that is that if it resonates with you, you can then scale. You can basically like make 50 of these very easily.
You can't go wrong.
It's not exhausting.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
It doesn't exhaust you because it becomes second thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing creators,
second nature, sorry,
what I'm seeing creators and influencers do is try and find the point, the key point where they get their followers and their likes and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden, later on, they realize this isn't the content I want to do anymore, but it's getting me the followers and the likes, so I must keep doing it. And inside their head, they're not well because they're not happy. And that's the most important thing, happiness, right?
But it's interesting because businesses are like that as well.
Businesses it's a different story.
Well, I mean, saying like there are a lot of businesses that provide services or work with clients.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not really what they want to do, but they know that the clients want it or it's paying good money or whatever it is. Yeah. But they're not truly happy inside or they're not getting the right type of clients that they want.
And when someone tells me, oh, you're doing wedding photography because you get the most money in the photography world. No, I'm doing it because I like engaging the emotion of the two families getting together.
I think you like working with people. Effectively, that's what it comes down to.
I love
and
networking.
There's at a wedding, there's kids, there's people at all different generations.
But that's my self-awareness.
Yes.
What about another business's self-awareness or another creator's self-awareness or influencer's self-awareness? If they're happy with $100 promotion to get paid for putting a product up on their Instagram, great, amazing. But long-term, it's not sustainable.
Yes.
And that needs to be fixed. They need to realize that. So that's where self-awareness comes in. And that's where the testing phase comes in and goes, okay, what do I actually really want to put out? as content, you know. And once you figure that out, the best part is when you start finding the right audience for you that loves that content.
I think the key is to accepting the fact that, you know, creating the content and finding out what works is a journey itself, and you've got to be prepared to take that journey. I think a lot of people just get on there, create a couple of videos, and they become, I guess, almost not really like motivated by the fact that it's not working for whatever reason. But
because their intent is off.
Yeah.
So
they're not doing the journey. If you can understand that the journey is actually just working out what you need to do first.
Yeah, for yourself.
And then accepting that.
Yeah.
You know,
then
it can work.
I was in a meeting last night with a couple of creators, and one of the audience members, this is for Clubhouse, came in, and he had the best radio voice. He used to be a radio voice presenter, and we all started like getting so excited of his opportunity because he'd never done social media before, but he discovered TikTok, and he goes, "How should I do this, guys?" I emailed him straight away, gave him a whole bunch of video ideas. This is what you need to do, and he was so excited. And you know, anybody can become famous on TikTok.
Well, I think you got to have a level of charisma as well.
You got to have a level of charisma, but you also have it's the
and
self-awareness.
Chicken wings. You like your chicken
right?
wings, yeah.
But it's the self-awareness, right? Like I did that chicken wing thing last year in Margaret River for the first time on TikTok,
and now you're doing it.
And now I'm getting paid to do it. That's crazy.
You're the chicken wing guy.
Yeah.
Well, some people relate to you.
And
as
the
that,
thing is, the Americans weren't doing it over last year, but now that exact content is going viral over there.
They're doing it
and
too,
I'm so spewing that the algorithm just didn't throw me a bone and catapult me into the American land, because it would be...
Again, I think it seems very focused on local, because when I read your comments...
It is.
A lot of them are people in Perth.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating, because when you go to Instagram... comments are coming from everywhere, and there's a lot of spammy stuff as well.
That's why TikTok, they're aware of it. Now I'm excited to see what they do next in that space, where if you can go and start to bring it overseas, because that's how someone like PewDiePie on YouTube became successful. From my understanding, my research, he was able to travel around and hit different demographics within Europe to then explode and then branch out and then go viral and exponential. So, dare I say, if I moved to America right now, what would happen to my Australian audience? And then what would happen to my new American
audience? That'd be an interesting experiment.
Yeah, I've seen it happen a few times with influencers that I know on TikTok, and it's worked out really well for them. One guy, he moved to LA, and he just decided to move. Even through COVID, he's like, "No, I'm going to LA. There's more opportunities there for him." And it paid off, right? But I'm happy to just move slowly and find my own thing and be a business person more than an influencer, because that's not my thing. I don't want to create content and in hope one comes off as my big ticket, where Sony or Nike or a big brand gives me a big payday.
Yes.
That doesn't interest me. That doesn't interest me. What interests me is aligning and finding talent that those brands can hit, and then organizing that. I like to be the manifestation of all of that.
So that's a good segue into the next topic, which is like, you know, as a sort of e-com agency ourselves, or focused on products and things like that, we're noticing a higher demand for UGC content, so user-generated content.
Yep.
And just authentic content production. So, and TikTok obviously lends itself really well to that. So, can you talk to us about that process and where you kind of see that going?
Yeah. So the cool thing about this is you don't have to, as a brand or an agency, farm any of the content out of an influencer's TikTok page. You don't have to download it and repurpose it on the brand's page to say, look, there's the product, okay? The page itself is the obvious product placement. You just have to storytell, right? But with influencers doing it, them uploading it on their own accounts, and obviously, you know, making that translation, that bridge to the brand, back to the brand. But now you can also pay an influencer or grab the code, authorization code, out of any of the videos that you want, to then just use it as an ad instantly from their account, which is incredible. I don't think Facebook did that. I don't think Instagram did that.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
So this is a game changer. This is one of the
so
biggest
it's basically like influencer creating content, but then you can purchase that content and start using it as an ad straight away, which is brilliant. Yeah.
Yep, it's called a Spark ad.
Yeah, right. Within the TikTok platform.
I think so. This is all very fresh to me in the last month.
Yeah.
I've tested it, and
it's streamlining the
huge.
influencer platform. In this with Instagram, there's a lot of platforms where like there's Influency, where basically you go on and you find influencers and you create content, you send them the
you
products.
Don't even have to do any of that.
No.
All you have to do is find people, not even influencers, but people that have done a good video about a product or a service that they've used, and look at that video and how it performed. And if it's done 50, 100,000 views on TikTok, which is my kind of benchmark, it's proven. The testing is already done for you. And you have millions and millions of videos that have done that. And all you have to do is approach that person and go, hey, we really liked your video. We are actually in contact with the brand. Can we pay you to authorize, to give us the authorization code to use it as an ad? And then it's a no-lose situation, because the influencer or creator, they don't have to do anything apart from give you the code, and they can't lose, because all you're doing is boosting their video. They actually get more followers out of it. They actually get more attention out of it.
It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, but it's not even a win-win. It's a no-lose. They don't have to do anything, which is much more attractive.
Yeah.
You know, it's a win-win. Okay, well, what's the risk? There's no risk. There's no lose, literally. And that's the difference.
Can you talk to us about, like, obviously it's a lot easier to create content right now.
So much easier.
We don't need creative directors and content production studios and on this platform anyway.
We still need creatives that that do understand audio, video, writing, but most importantly, how people think.
So it's the strategy, it's the psychology.
The psychology.
Yeah.
We still need the psychology.
Technology and how we do it, that's changed. That's reduced. Yeah.
Yeah. To maintain candidness, is that a word? Having a wireless lapel mic, for example, like the video I put out last week, 5 million views. And the biggest difference was because I finally managed to grab my videographer and say, hey, let's go out to the shops and I'm going to do this skit. I was lapelled up. We did all the testing. He still used a phone, but the difference was the wireless lapel. And it was pure magic because it was candid. They didn't realize that it was a recording. But if I had my phone out, it changes the whole game. That video probably wouldn't have done so well.
Interesting, yeah. So it's a real, I guess, a mix between choosing the right technology to get the right piece of content done.
But knowing how the people would react, or trialing different scenarios with the same idea. So that's what I did, and I can't wait to do it again, because it would be a shame for me to not follow up a 5 million view idea again and again and again, because that's the template.
You talked about the 6 pillars of successful content. You remember that one?
In conjunction with the 4 E's.
Yes. Can you run us through those 6 pillars?
So I'll do it in order of most important. All of them are important. And if you can get all 6 into one video, in conjunction with the 4 E's, you are onto a perfect piece of content. So the first one is value, and that is the educational side. So logic. Logic is the term. If your video is about teaching someone something, it's valuable to someone somewhere. The trick is, how does the algorithm find that person? You do multiple videos of the same topic. And then when you finally find your audience that likes that, interested in that topic, let's say it's finance, they're going to come to your account and go, that was a good, valuable video. What else do they have? They're going to see the library of videos that you put out. They're going to like all of them, and they're going to follow you. The next one is humor. Which is the funny. Charm is the third one. Okay. I skipped ahead. Humor is the second one, and that's the funny stuff. If you can educate whilst being funny, me as a teacher, that was gold. I was an entertainer for my students, and that's why they resonated with me. that I wasn't just a boring teacher that came and said, okay, here's a textbook, do this. This is how you do it. Go for it. I gave them a bit of value in terms of educating. But when I added humor, it was all the difference. Because I wasn't like everybody else.
I guess it's like a bit of an icebreaker as
right,
well.
Exactly. And, you know, it doesn't even have to appeal to someone if they're not interested in finance. If they think you're funny, they'll watch it, right? The third one is charm. And that's where you got to directly talk to the camera like it's a person in front of you.
Right.
You
That's
can't
the
go.
strategy.
That is the strategy. You can't go, "Hey guys, how are you?" Well, okay. Who are you?
You got to look it straight in.
You got to just look straight in the eyes of the lens,
Yep.
and you got to just talk. Did you know? This is how you. Here's how you can.
Because when they're seeing it, it's like you're talking to them.
They've got the engagement. They've got
Connecting.
that interaction, right? And that's the experience you want to get to. The fourth one is compassion. Compassion. I think that's the order. I'm starting to remember. Is that it? Is that the order there?
I've got imagination.
Oh, imagination.
Compassion and challenge.
Okay, so I'll do it in order. So imagination is the fourth one. Yeah. Imagination is the fourth one, and that's where the creativeness comes in, and how you can create that content in a way that can appeal to the audience, whether it's cool transitions, whether it's a specific insight into an idea, but showcased in a completely different way. Remember the Old Spice ads with the guy on the horse and doing all these random transitions? That was a shampoo ad. It had nothing to, like, a lot of that had nothing to do with the shampoo, but it got your attention, and it was different. They used a lot of imagination. And remember
Dollar Shave Club did that too.
Right. Yeah. But remember when Old Spice said, "Hey you, look at me. Now back to you. Now back to me." That was genius. And I buy that product just because of that ad. It gave you an experience. It resonated. There was humor. It was a perfect ad. I love that ad. Now, bring that back to TikTok and these 6 pillars. You've got compassion. Compassion is talking and talking well about what you have to offer. Whatever it is, a service or a product that you're talking about.
Not being salesy.
Not being salesy.
Yeah.
You know, like if you start TikTok as a business account, then that's where you got to understand. Build your brand first, and you don't have to be salesy. You just have to talk about the product through educating in a funny way, showing that imagination and how they can implement it in their lives with compassion, with all the rest, and that's how you do it. Okay, where were we? So we got logic, humor.
Last one was
charm,
challenge worldview.
Compassion, yeah. So the final one is challenge worldview, and this one is what gets the audience talking in the comments, which feeds the algorithm for more views. So something like as simple as, does pineapple go on pizza, right? People go, "Ooh, Palmy and Palmer. Which one do you say?" That gets the audience fired up.
So you were saying,
Yeah.
connected to world events, things that are happening.
I executed one perfectly last night for Red Rooster. I said, "Here's proof that we actually get customers in store." Overnight, 2,000 comments, 200,000 views later. That was all.
I saw the one where customers were walking out of McDonald's and you were just had a standing ovation.
Oh yeah. It's just different, you know. It's the imagination that no one dares to try because, you know. But yeah, so those 6 pillars for everybody listening, you need at least 2, but if you can get 4 or 5 and then manage your way up to all 6, you're almost guaranteed to succeed sooner than later. And then implement those 4 E's in that. Tick those boxes every time, and you're sweet. You're good to go. If you can naturally do it, then call me.
Sounds good. Just going to our last point and to wrap up, basically, you know, if you look at the future,
Yeah.
you know, 5 years ahead, let's just say 5 for now.
Yes.
Where do you sort of see yourself, and where do you see, as in, you know, with the platform?
Yep.
Do you still see yourself engaging on the platform regularly?
Yeah.
Or do you see yourself moving out to other, you know, like, because if you look at Gary Vee,
Yeah.
he kind of blew up on, I think it was Facebook first, was it? And
YouTube.
Instagram.
Yeah. YouTube.
And
I think.
YouTube.
Yeah,
He did YouTube with his videos, with his wine videos, and then he progressed to the other channels. Is that where you sort of see your
So it's funny that you
strategy
mentioned,
as a brand.
Yeah, it's funny that you mention him, because my alignment with how I was going about things before I discovered him was really similar.
Well, you're both from the Soviet Union.
Yeah. And the way that I just started to create content at scale on Instagram to showcase just my life and what I was doing in 2019 was, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I really love doing this, and wow, I'm going to put more out. People were telling me, why are you putting out so much content? Wait, I was like, it's fun. And then I discovered him, and he just said exactly what I was thinking. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This validates what I'm doing. And that's all I needed from him. Obviously, I kept listening to him, because then I was like, what else does he have? And then that's when he said, TikTok is, get on there.
But it's interesting because you can sort of see into the future.
Exactly.
With him. Yeah.
So, exactly. And then what I see with Australia, they're about 1.5, 2 years behind. I just go and watch the Americans, and then also watch some other things that I'm picking up that they haven't picked up yet, because I'm talking with them and brainstorming ideas. But 5 years from now, I see myself with a new platform, maybe even helping create some sort of different platform where something to do with influencers. Maybe there's going to be crowdfunding with influencers as well, kind of like a Kickstarter, but for influencers and content.
We should talk.
Yeah. And then from there, it'll be more into LinkedIn as well, because I'm enjoying my discovery of LinkedIn right now. I definitely be more into Twitch, because I like video games. I just need to find time to play. And just manifesting things and problem solving for businesses, and kind of overseeing the growth of TikTok 5 years from now, and being the go-to guy, being the market in Australia for, okay, this is how you do it, this is how I would do it, and these are the people that you should do it with.
Yes, I understand.
That's how I see myself in 5 years.
Awesome, Sev. Seva, thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. That's a wrap, everyone. So, yeah, thanks. Please like us, and, hope you enjoyed it.
Good, thanks.
Ciao.